We are rolling. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Bob Walker, and this is yatradio.com. And glad to have you with us here. Tonight, we have the Swamp Pop Rhythm and Blues Teenage Idol. Is also a rock and roll music star, a movie star, a DJ, a TV star, and a very spiritual person. What a blessed life he has had, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is, Jimmy Clanton. Yay!
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Oh, look at you, man, with that head of white hair, man. It's all yours.
Do I need more light on? Can you see me okay, or should I have? Does it need more light?
We could use a little more on that side of your face.
Well, I see a shadow there. You want to try that? See if it goes on over there. Turn the overhead on, Sandy. Is that better?
That looks good.
All right, we got it, Sandy.
Welcome, Jimmy Clanton. And by the way, a belated 82nd birthday. You had it last Wednesday, a week ago yesterday. So happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's pretty amazing, you know. I'm 82, and it seems like I just turned 50, and the next thing you know, I'm 82. So whatever, but I'm here. God has been good to me with my health and with my voice, so I have no complaints.
Every guy wishes he could look like you at 82. I guarantee you, you're looking good, man. So let's see, you came from Baton Rouge. We're going to get into that, but you're in Pennsylvania now. Do you ever miss the Louisiana stuff like gumbo or maybe a fried oyster po' boy dressed with a lot of pickles?
Well, my executive associate, best friend forever, Sandy Weeks, she has learned to make all of that, and it's just as good as what I had when I was a kid down there. So I've still got it. It's available to me, and oh yeah, that's my favorite food in the world. Cajun.
All right, and let's see here, Baton Rouge boy. Well, you were born in Raceland, is that right?
No.
No,
I was born in Cutoff, Louisiana. My mama, Cajun mama, was from Golden Meadow, but there was no hospital in Golden Meadow, so I was born in Cutoff, which is almost as far down in the Bayou country to Grand Isle, right into the Mississippi River, right into the Gulf of Mexico, way down there. But my dad got a job somewhere else, and then he was transferred to Baton Rouge by the time I was in my very, very young. So technically, I was raised in Baton Rouge for kindergarten. There was no kindergarten, grammar school, and then right up into high school. So I was actually raised in Baton Rouge. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Yeah, just went blank for a few seconds, and I apologize for that. What happened is the internet, and the things you least expect do happen. So anyway, yeah, you came from Baton Rouge. That's where you were when you got your start in music, and Baton Rouge was full of talent. Let's see, they had you, they had Johnny Rivers later, they had John Fred, Dale and Grace, and of course, we can't forget Donna Douglas. You remember Donna Douglas?
Yeah, her real name was Donna Bourgeois.
Yeah, and she in 1 year, in 1957, she was Miss Baton Rouge and Miss New Orleans in both contests.
Whatever. Okay, you say so.
All right, so how did it all begin? Were you a garage musician? Everybody wanted to be Elvis back in those days, which would be, I guess you started probably about 56 in music itself, or 57?
Well, I started to learn. My grandparents in Alabama were very musical, and they had an old guitar. I picked it up when I was about 13 or 14. I liked it. And so when I would go there on summer vacation. So when I came back home to Baton Rouge that 1 year, I cut grass. I made $2 to cut grass. I saved up $12, went to a pawn shop and bought a used guitar, found a little 25-cent guitar chord book, and began to teach myself. And I just just increased in understanding and knowledge of the guitar. It was just incredible. And so I began learning, teaching myself. And by the time I was 17, I was very, 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 very good. And yeah. So,
and your first group was who? The Who? Not the Who. No, the Rockets, right?
No, there was what were they called? The Dixie Cats.
The Dixie Cats.
Yeah, we kind of played in the living room of a trumpet player, and eventually, what had happened was, in Louisiana at age 18, you can go into a place that serves alcohol, and I was almost to the age of 18, and this fella named Dick Holler came to me. And in essence, what he said, I've got a little lounge group. He said, but the music is changing. And he said, they're wanting the swamp bop. They're wanting rock and roll, rhythm and blues. And he said, somebody told me about you, a guitar player, and I really need a guitar player. So he started showing me all these engagements that he had. And he said, man, I'll give you $5, $6 a night. Well, $5 a night, in 1956 went a long way. And so to make a long story short there, I said, okay, I'll start playing with you. And I've got a great story on how I started singing, because I was just a guitar player. He didn't know anything about me singing. Well, I'd heard this guy talking to a guy in a band that I was just messing around with. And I overheard this guy say, well, I pay him $5 a night more because he sings. And I never forgot that. He sings. He got $5 or more per night because he sang. So I started playing with Dick Holler. He did all the singing. And I noticed after a few weeks, he'd get a little tired vocally. So I went to him one day. I said, Dick, you're doing all the singing, and you're gonna wear yourself out. And I said, look, I wouldn't mind doing a song or two if you want me to. I said, however, in the other band, the guy got an extra $5 a night more because he did sing as well as playing. So he looked at me. He said, well, I'll give you a shot. Just try you out. So I'll never forget this. On the specialty record label, the Neville brothers, the one brother named Aaron, I found this song that he recorded called Ooh Wee Baby. And I listened to that song. I loved the song. And I said, Dick, I got the song. He said, okay. So I got up at the club that night. Ooh wee baby, I love, love, love you so. Ooh wee baby, don't ever let me go. Fool that I am to think you could love me too. Da, 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 da. Ooh wee baby, don't want no one but you. And all of a sudden, I was in the middle of doing that song, and everybody on the dance floor, including the guys as well as the girls, they all started gravitating up to the front of the stage. They stopped dancing, and they're all looking up and staring at me as I'm doing this song. And it was a deciding wow moment for me, because I read the lips of this guy standing down there looking to a guy next to him, and I read his lips. He said, wow, that guy can sing. And right then I went, oh, I got this now, baby, I tell you. So I began to make that $5 a night more. And of course, eventually, the more we played, the more I was singing, the more the people liked my singing better than Dick. And I eventually was equal partners in the band, and I was making $45 a night in 1957.
Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you and the Rockets decided to go into the studio. And how'd that happen? What brought the decision about to go record?
Dick Holler was a few years older than me, and he was going with a girl. And she came to him and she said, Dick, She said, there's a recording studio in New Orleans. It's only 90 miles from Baton Rouge. And for $25, the guy told me that they'll give you an hour of recording time. So Dick said, what do you think? And so we said, yeah, we'll get to hear what we sound like. Well, we go to the studio, and it becomes, we were unaware this was the iconic recording studio in that part of the South, Cosmo Matassa Studio on Governor Nichols Street.
Yep.
And so we go in, Dick's doing all the singing, and he's doing all these original songs. And so we were recording, and all of a sudden he said, okay, that's it. And so the engineer came on and he said, you got 6 more minutes. You don't have anything else? Dick said, no, I don't have anything. And he looked over at me. He said, Jimmy, you got anything? Now, you talk about a script from Happy Days TV. Here's what happened. I said, well, I got this little song I wrote because I was going with my first love. She and I were fighting. We were fighting all the time. And I wrote this little song called I Trusted You. It was really a swamp pop thing. Now, you got to remember, in 1957 there was no device invented for recording. There was no invention for that. So you had to memorize the song or listen to it on the radio and memorize it or buy a magazine with words to it. That's how everything was done. Well, I somehow or another couldn't believe it, but I had remembered this song. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. So I went ahead. I trusted you for such a long, long time. And now you're telling me bye-bye. So what'll I do? I'm so blue. I trusted you. So I recorded it. So we pack up. We go back to Baton Rouge. Forget all about it. And the guy said, we'll send you a demo. About 10 days later, I get a phone call from that studio. Now, how incredible is this? This guy gets on the phone. He says, my name is Johnny Vinson. And he said, I own a record company called Ace Records. He said, I'm in this studio getting ready to do a session in New Orleans here. And I'm hearing this playback of this song. And the guy, the engineer says that's a fellow named Jimmy Clanton from Baton Rouge. And he said, I like that. And he said, I'd like to talk to you about a record, making a record for me. Now, I'm blown away, you know.
How old were you at the time?
I was 18. I was 18, you know, getting the clubs, you had to be 18. Mm-hmm. But I was 18 going on 12. You know, I had no concept of the world. I just knew Baton Rouge and the Swamp Pop clubs and where we playing next. That was the long and short of my insight into the world.
And all of a sudden, at that age, you were like a kid in a candy shop.
But I didn't know that. Okay. So I drive to New Orleans, and he said, I'd like to record you on that song. He said, however, I don't want the rockers. He said, I want to do it with the studio musicians. Come to find out, the studio musicians were all of Fats Domino's band, all the guys that played with Lloyd Price, Little Richard. They were the best of the best. So I agreed, and I recorded the song. Well, the great thing is, the local stations in Baton Rouge played it because here's a local kid who made a record. He's on the radio. So we became even more well known, and we're doing gigs all over the Gulf Coast. And so it did great, you know. And this was like the first part of 58, and then in late 57. And then in early 58, Johnny Vincent, he calls me and he said, you know what, Jimmy? He said, it's time to do another session. He said, you written any more songs? No, I haven't written any more songs. What are you talking about? He said, well, we got to go in the studio. It's time to do another session. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but I'm a true believer in the good Lord. It had to be the good Lord to do this because still there's no recording device invented. Okay. I got to do everything by memory, write it down on paper. I go into my house. I began writing songs left and right. I mean, I'm just writing like crazy. So I go to the studio. He said, you got something? I said, yeah, I got a bunch of songs. So here's the thing. I go into the studio and I do this song and that song. And then we get to this last song. It's a ballad. And I'm teaching them the song, the chord changes and so forth and so on. And I'll never forget that saxophone player looked over at me. It was iconic. And he waited a second and he said, that is a hit. It turned out to be Just a Dream. Now, in April then of 1958, I get a call from Johnny Vincent. He said, pack a suitcase. He said, I'm going to send you to Philadelphia. There's a new show called American Bandstand, and I've got you an appearance on it. Now, going to Philadelphia for me at 18 from Baton Rouge was like going to Mars, okay? Never been in an airplane, never been out of the Gulf Coast. And so I flew to Philadelphia scared to death, And so I go on that show, and I just noticed there's a lot of attention on me from all these girls. A lot of attention. And I go, wow, this is nice, thank you very much. Now, I told a friend of mine something here. Come to find out, within no time at all, this teen idol thing came because I was looked upon as this incredibly good-looking kid. But I went to high school in Baton Rouge High. All of the guys were good-looking. All of the girls were beautiful. So none of us stuck out from the other. But for whatever reason, I stuck out. And, boy, I'm telling you, the next thing I know, within 10 days, I'm flying to New York, signing a major contract with a booking agency. Alan Freed is calling. He wants me in all the shows. And I'm in the most incredible demand. I'm on bus tours. I mean, overnight. That song, the day after I did that American Bandstand appearance, had orders for over 100,000 copies in one day. Yeah. And so the next thing you know, I leave the Rockets. They understand, I'm a national star, and I'm all over the United States. I'm in Australia. I'm doing major shows everywhere, and it just happened so fast. And so, wow, the rest is history. It never stopped. So, wow, yeah. But that one song, that one little recording, and that one, I Trusted You. Yeah, wow.
Yep. And then that same year, you did Just a Dream and Letter to an Angel in 1958. That was just 2 years after things started happening to you and bringing you to stardom.
Well, in no time at all. I felt I had a groove for songwriting. I knew how to write. Here's an interesting thing, automatically, I think it was a gift. I had a gift for being able to pick a song and write a song that fitted Jimmy Clanton's sound. There are a lot of songs out there, good songs, but they don't fit Jimmy Clanton. And the way I call it my phraseology, the way I phrase. So I had a gift for knowing how to pick and how to choose songs that fit my voice. And I've always done that,
Mm-hmm. Did you write most of your hits?
I can't say I wrote most of them. I wrote.
Let me narrow that down. The hits you had on Ace Records, on Johnny Vincent's label.
Well, I remember I got My Own True Love. I got that from Gone with the Wind. I recorded that. And then what happened was, then I wrote Little Boy in Love, Letter to an Angel. I was writing these songs, which are Jimmy Clanton songs. But then I went to New York, and this was a real next venture. backstage, I'm standing there going to do a show, and this guy comes over and he starts bugging me. I got a song for you, Jimmy. I got a song for you, man. It's such a follow-up for Just a Dream. You'll love it. And I'm going, oh, man, back off. These guys everybody had a song for Jimmy Clanton all of a sudden. And he kept pushing and pushing. And over in the corner, there was a piano. He said, let me just play it a little bit. And so I want to be nice. I'm a Southern boy. I'm a Southern gentleman. So I go over and he starts playing a little bit of it. And all of a sudden I drop my jaw. I said, oh my gosh, man. And he started playing this song. I ended up recording him. Another sleepless night. I sit alone and cry. Neil Sedaka. And so I recorded Another Sleepless Night, which was a big hit for me. And so I started doing some other songs here and there, but I really wrote 99% of all the B-sides, I wrote the B-side of Venus and Blue Jeans, Highway Bound. I wrote a song called If I've written some beautiful love songs, that were B-sides and also that were on my LPs. So.
And then all of a sudden you were going into the movies in 1958 and 1959 with Go Johnny Go.
Yeah, I became, there's no question about it, in 58, late 57, 58 there, I was really right at the cusp of the epitome of rock and roll, that rock and roll era with all the major stars. I got in right at the right time to where I fitted in and I got to know everybody and everybody got to know me and I became a real part of the era. And I could go on and on and on. Clyde McPhatter and the Drifters, Tony Williams and the Platters, the incredible artists, Laverne Baker, all these people from the early days, But Alan Freed, he just took to me. I guess it was my Southern drawl, a Southern gentleman, I still had a twang, a talk like that, And he and I became absolutely very, very close personal friends to the point where every show he did, I was on it. And I was backstage at this New York show and he just walked by nonchalantly. He said, by the way, he said, I'm heading out to California in a week. And he said, I'm getting ready to film my movie. He didn't say my most iconic movie, the greatest I've ever done. He just said a movie. Mm-hmm. And he said, it's the story of a guy. It's going to be about Johnny Melody. And then he looked at me and he said, I'd like for you to play the lead. Well, I was just young enough and went behind the ears to say, oh, acting? Okay, we can do this. I mean, no problem. Just hand me the script and I'll say the line. We got this. And so sure enough, I went out to California and we went to Hollywood and we filmed this rock and roll movie, Go Johnny Go. A good friend of mine, Alan Price, who has an incredible radio show out of Dallas, he said, Jimmy, that movie, without any question, was the greatest iconic rock and roll movie of all time. It was the best movie. And so I didn't know what to go by that. I just knew it was fun and we had a great time and the music was exactly what all the people were listening to and buying. So yeah, but it did so much for me because Alan Freed, Go Johnny Go, here's a rock and roll singer who's now making headlines as a lead actor in a rock and roll movie. So it was, yeah. And the same thing the following year with another guy who wanted to do a similar movie called Teenage Millionaire. And I definitely fit the part more than anybody. And so I did that, So yeah, it was great times. Alan Freed was an incredible guy, major shows with, yeah. I've got so many stories about that era,
I wish we knew them.
Well,
anyway, so you,
I'm in the process. Sandy is doing the proofreading right now of doing an autobiography, and all of my stories are going to be in this book. Yeah,
that's great. We'll be
Yeah.
looking forward to it. So
Thank
you were working for Alan Freed, and at the same time you were working occasionally for Dick Clark. Let me read you this here, just in case. TV appearances. You had 8 appearances on American Bandstand, 5 appearances on the Dick Clark Show, the Beach Nut Gum Show on Saturday night. And
Yeah.
also, you had appearances on Hollywood A Go Go, Shindig, and Where the Action Is. Who else can come up with a record like that?
Well, it's I've had guys come up to me that made records in the late '60s, and here I had one group. I'll tell you who they were in just a minute. They came up to me and said, "Jimmy, how do we get the recognition of when somebody says our name and they know our record, and when somebody says the name of the record, they know our name?" And I said, that's interesting you said that. I said, because I had heard of your name, but for $1 million, I can tell you what your record was, or vice versa. I said, the thing is that Jimmy Clanton was synonymous with Just a Dream, Venus and Blue Jeans, Go Jimmy Go.
Yep.
And if you said Just a Dream, Jimmy Clanton, Venus and Blue Jeans, Jimmy Clanton. And I said, that recognition never went away. And it stuck to the point where when I was advertised, people knew exactly who that was, what that song was, and that's why they wanted to go to it. And I said, that's not something that's easily gotten, because so many years have passed for you guys. Many years have passed since, the 10 years now, because they were talking about 1965. They were already facing the English invasion, and you had the protest Vietnam songs and the long hair. And the Woodstock, all of that was all part of the cake mix, But I never had all. I was right there with one genre, one time, and nobody else did anything like what we did. When we would show up on a tour in a town, the town would shut down because there was nothing else as important as getting ready to go to that show that night. So I got in really at the perfect time of being recognized and also being admired in this respect. I've handled myself in such a way. I've been a nice guy to fans. I've been a nice guy to people that promoted me and so forth. And when somebody would hear Jimmy Clanton immediately for a show, they recognize, I remember the dance I was at in my high school when that song came out. So they were able to connect those dots. They're not able to do that now, much less even 20, 30, 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. They could back then.
All right. Oh, by the way, while you were on those tours, let me throw this one at you. 1962, on August 30th, it was WTIX's Appreciation Night at Pontchartrain Beach.
Yeah.
And yeah. I've got a picture of you on the stage. I will, after we're finished talking, I'll put it on this comment thread. And
I've seen that picture. Yeah.
You have?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very popular with a lot of different fans. Some who were there and picked up on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you also were on that stage with, you remember Chris Jensen, who sang Torture? Probably not. Bobby Curtolo, who sang Fortune Teller? Maybe not. But anyway, there was you, Johnny Crawford, Freddie Cannon, Bruce Chanel, Claude King of Wolverton Mountain, and Roy Orbison, Bobby V., Ray Peterson, and the band leader was Mac Rebenak, who later on became Dr. John. And he had something to do with, he and Carole King both had something to do with Venus and Blue Jeans. Is that correct?
Not Dr. John, no.
Okay. But Carole King?
Carole King, come to find out, she did the musical arrangement on Venus and Blue Jeans, but the main 2 songs of that session I did in New York, they both had horns, and Venus was considered to be just kind of a third song throwaway. But as she told somebody later, she said, "We paid for the horns, so we're going to use them on this Venus of Blue Jeans." Well, I'm sure glad she did.
Yes, indeed.
Became a major hit for me.
What a great song that is.
Thank you.
So, well, I guess we've about run out of time, but you still have a story to tell or two about Mamu being from Louisiana.
Well, at the major, just when Just a Dream became a huge hit, and it became a hit all over Louisiana, and I was still with the Rockets, we got an engagement at this club in Mamu. And boy, I'll tell you, I never forget. I remember my Studebaker Silverhawk. I went to the gig by myself. I thought I was in Never Never Land. It was in the swamps. The club was in the swamps. And somehow or another, I found this club. And so me and the guys get up on stage. Well, the first 8 rows were all girls. And boy, they were all just loving on me and smiling at me and wanting to kiss me, But then I noticed as the evening progressed, about the next 2 rows were these tough-looking Cajun guys, and they're all going, "When you get off stage."
Uh-oh.
And so I thought, you know what? This could be dangerous, And so I went out, and I'll never forget. So I didn't go out in the audience. I mean, I wasn't going to do that, So I stayed to myself backstage. Well, by the time I got off and I went outside, all 4 of my tires were slashed, and they were flat. Now, the good Lord was with me, because it's midnight on a Saturday night in Mamu. Somehow or another, they managed to find 4 tires for me, put them on my car, and pardon my French, but I got the hell out of Mamu.
Yeah, well, you don't want to end up in Mamu on a Saturday night. That's for damn sure. Pardon my French.
Yeah.
So, one other thing too. I heard that Elvis heard one of your songs or a couple of your songs, and he invited you to Graceland.
We were on a big tour in Memphis, and I had asked somebody. I said, "Is Elvis in town by any chance?" I guess there's no way to ever get a meeting, right? Well, a friend of mine who knew a friend who knew a friend, long distance, was able to get a hold of him. And he said, "Yeah, come on over." And so after that show, we go through the gates, and I was the first ring out of the car. And I'll admit, I'll never forget this. This was early 1959. And I walk up and I knock on the door. And the door opened, and it's Elvis. And he's got a yachting captain's hat on. And he looked down at me and he said, "Jimmy, if I had known you were coming, I would have had Just a Dream on the record player."
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, I mean, that was Elvis, and I was so glad. I saw him again when I was out doing Teenage Millionaire, the movie out there in California. I saw him again, but I was so happy that my time with him, those 2 occasions, both were before he had problems with his weight, and before he had problems with prescription drugs and so forth, and so I got to see him at his prime, and what a sweetheart of a guy. Sweetheart.
Yeah, he really was. I had the fortune to cross paths with him a couple of times during his life, and he was a great guy. He really was very, very courteous and very polite.
Yeah.
So, well, one more. How about one more? Tell us about how the day that the music died changed your life while you were on that tour, or on a tour at the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember that just like it was a few minutes ago. I was on a major bus tour. It was April of '59. And there was a knock at my hotel door. And I opened the door, and it was the promoter, the tour director for our big tour. And he had a very somber look on his face. He said, "Jimmy, I want to tell you something you may not know." And so he told me about how Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper and Richie Valens had gone up in that airplane and how it had crashed and they were all dead. And when was it?
February 3rd.
February 3rd, Sandy's telling me. And he said, however, he said the promoter of that tour wants it to continue. So they're wanting us to give them artists to fill in. I thought that was odd to this day. But anyway, so I said, yeah, I'll do that. So I left that tour and they flew me up Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and they picked me up and I picked up that bus tour. I'll never forget getting on the bus there and looking down that aisle of that Greyhound bus in the back, and there was the personal items of Buddy and the Big Bopper and Richie Valens, and the only group alive on that tour was Dion the Belmonts, you know?
Wow.
Man, yeah. And so I thought, okay, so I'm going to be on this tour, but you know, how do I entertain? You know, how do I? And so what I did was, because I was such an expert guitar player, thank goodness, I took Buddy's guitar and I played several of his songs as a tribute to him, and then added my own songs. And so I finished out that tour. But yeah. And I knew those guys, Buddy and Big Bopper and Richie Valens. I knew them from other shows I had done, you know. So it was a very somber time, and no question about it. It was the heaviness on all of the music industry stayed heavy for quite a while after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a memory about that too. I'll share you one of my memories. WTIX Appreciation Night at Pontchartrain Beach on must have been 1958. Yeah, because they died in February of 59. Well, anyway, one of the headliners was the Big Bopper. And I don't know if you remember the venue where you were on a platform above the sandy beach, and
I remember
the Midway on front of you and the Lake Pontchartrain on the back. Well, anyway, as the artist would sing, they would go to the little spiral staircase on the back and sign autographs for people. You know, they were there just inviting people to come get their autographs. Well, time was running out and the show was about ending and everything. And I had my choice between two people to get their autographs. I could only do one. It was either the Big Bopper or Don Gibson, who had a song called Oh Lonesome Me. You remember? Well, he also wrote I Can't Stop Loving You as well. But anyway, I had the both of them to pick from. And I looked at the Big Bopper and I said to myself, well, he's probably a one song hit. And so I got Don Gibson's autograph, and I still have it in my book now, my autograph book. And I wish I had gotten the Big Boppers.
You know, it's interesting because here I was with everybody I met, you know. Do you know, it never occurred to me to ask anybody, Elvis, Nat King Cole, people I knew. I never asked anybody for an autograph. Never. And I don't have an autograph from them. But I actually felt I was a part of the industry, and that was it, you know? Yeah. So
I felt the same way being in radio. I got to MC many, many shows with people that I grew up with on the radio, you know, Leslie Gore and Herman's Hermits and the 60s and the 50s acts, the Drifters and all. And because I was on radio at the time, I couldn't ask them for autographs either. It's kind of a industry thing. You just don't ask autographs, you know, because other people do, and they don't need any more from us on the inside.
Yeah.
So those of us who used to be on the inside, thinking about that, you going to do any more gigs? You're going to sing again sometime, somewhere?
Well, I've had many engagements that were canceled because of the virus. Yeah, in different parts of the United States, and they're because I was such a part of that specific era. I'm in demand a lot, so I do a lot of shows. Yeah, and it's fun. And the good Lord has blessed me with my voice. My voice is still in good shape, and so yeah, I'll be doing a lot of things.
I thought you retired 3 years ago.
I thought about it for 2 months. I'm retired for 2 months,
Hey,
and I said, you know what? This is not working.
you got a God-given talent, and it's up to you to use it. You've got to bring happiness to other people with what you got.
Thank you.
So, Jimmy, thank you very, very much. And we'll do this again sometime because I'm sure you have many, many stories to tell. But thank you for being here tonight, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And I'd like to say, you know, for fans, if it wasn't for fans, I would have never had a career. I would have never written songs, recorded songs. I would have never had the opportunity to go out on stage in different parts of the world. So the fans, it's all about them and for them. And that's the reason I've been enabled to do what I've done and what I will continue to do for a little while yet.
Well,
Thank you, fans.
The fans are the ones that fuel the fire.
Got that right.
And that's why I don't think anybody really retires in this business, in your business, because as long as people want to hear them, see them on stage, and scream for them like they did with you, and all, and they'll keep doing it until they can't do it anymore. So great, Jimmy. Thank you very much, and hope to see you on a stage soon. Let me know if you are going to do one, anything around here, and we'll pump it for you.
We'll let everybody know. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.